Welcome to Tiernanog. My name is Elizabeth, and I wanted to take a moment to introduce you to my video channel. This channel will be about learning how to homestead. My children and I moved out to this piece of property in February. It's now July. We are living in a little valley kind of nestled in the foothills of the Cascade Mountains. We came from the suburbs where we had just under 1/4 of an acre, and we did grow a lot of what we eat on our property there. Here we have lots more space. We're at just a little more than an acre. The children are having a great time being out here in the middle of nowhere, which is really where we are. We are about, just a couple miles from our little town, but the little town is very, very small. The school that they attend only has about 240 kids. That's the entire student population for K through graduation. And my kids are 4, 11, and 13. And we are just having a great time. We wanted to share with you the adventure of learning how to do all of these things and all of the great projects that we're doing out here, making this place our own. When we moved here, there were no gardens. There was a couple of small raised beds that were in a closed space. Where we live out here, there's lots of predators. So they did have it built with really, really high walls. And we are just having a great time, and I wanted to share some of it with you. So I hope that you enjoy this adventure. I hope that you will be patient with me as I learn to do videography, which is new for me. And let's go take a tour. This space out in the front is where the orchard will go eventually. Right now the orchard is still in pots. I have not gotten it in the ground yet. They're all doing fine. In fact, the cherry tree still has cherries on it in the flower pots. So it's good. I love this big tree right here. It's so pretty here. So this is basically the front yard and where we'll put the orchard. And eventually I'll probably put the pigs on the far side. This tiny, tiny little building here is where the people who built this house originally lived while they built it. So they lived in that little place for 2 years. Someday I will fix that up and we will make that into something fun. Behind that is what is now the chicken run. It was actually both a chicken run and a raised bed garden, which is, some of the boards were broken and falling apart and some of the chicken wire was damaged. So we had to do some repair work there. And then there's the house. And over there is a bit of a shed. That is the travel trailer we lived in for 5 months while we looked for this house. Over here is just a big open space. And then the well house is behind that little clump of trees. Here are some of the things that I have not yet planted. So we have 6 fruit trees that we'll put out front. And then there's a grapevine in the back that I saved from my old house. And my mother gave me a hydrangea that they forgot to water. So I'm going to plant that because I love hydrangeas. And then we have some strawberries in pots over here that are actually doing better than the strawberries that are out in the garden. So in the fall, when I finish the cleanup, I will transplant those probably into the vegetable garden. And then, if we go this way, it's all my trees. In the back is kind of a fun little area. Mowing is a full-time job out here. But this is the shed, and where we have all of our stuff stacked that we haven't taken to the dump yet. And then back here we have kind of a little area where we have hot dog roasts. There's my puppy dog. And we built this wonderful fire pit back here with some salvaged bricks that we were able to get from somebody who no longer wanted that in their landscape. So that will be a great place for us to spend some time in the summer. And there's the puppy dog, one of them. This is Lady. Lady is a livestock guardian dog. She is a Great Pyrenees and is good at destroying fences. So we have this big fabulous gate that helps her stay in the backyard instead of protecting the entire neighborhood. Here's the garden that we put in this year. And I say we because the children got to help with all the shoveling of all the dirt. There's like 16 or 17 yards of dirt in this garden. The wood that we used to make the raised beds, it was salvaged from the raised beds that were here in the other area already. But there was only like 240 square feet of garden space, and I need about 700 minimum. So that's about what this is now. When we rearranged all the boards, we were able to make it so that it was much bigger space. And there isn't a whole lot of level area in my yard, except out front. So this is fairly level. This was the most level space I could find out here. It's also over my drain field, so I couldn't do anything real permanent out here, but the garden is fine. So this is our little garden space for now, and this is the compost pile, which is already growing some lovely squash. And back here we have the pigs. They are hiding because it's hot. And their mud wallow still has mud in it. Pork chop. Pig, pig. Pig, pig. There they are. There's Pork Chop. I don't know where his brother is. Probably still hiding. Oh, there's his brother. So we decided to do pigs. That was a new adventure for me. I've never done pigs before. They've been very interesting. We'll talk about pigs on another video. My kids built the pig house. It's just a couple of pallets and a piece of plywood. We did a lot of fencing because the river is across the street basically from here. We needed to make sure that my 4-year-old didn't wander off and get into the river because it is class 4 rapids. So we put up fencing before we ever moved in, and the lady has tested the limits of that. So we have done a bunch of different things to make the fence better. You can see the backside of my neighbor's chicken coop over there. And here is the blueberries, which are interspersed with peas, because when I put this in, I needed to plant peas. It was time for doing that, and the garden wasn't ready, so I planted the peas there. And then back here are the raspberries, which were all just gifted to me. I have 2 different varieties, and I picked quite a few this morning. I put a couple cups in the freezer after we ate what we wanted for breakfast. My lovely neighbors next door gave me some of the ones that are in the back, and then these tall ones came from another dear friend of mine. So those are the current garden spaces that we have. When the pigs are done next year, I will turn that part of the yard into a garden as well. So part of their purpose, besides to be meat, is to dig up that space over there, because then I can use that as a garden. The doghouse, which is also a couple of pallets and a piece of plywood. The plywood was just cut in half, not precisely in half. I think it's like 4.5 feet one way and then 3 feet the other way or something, to fit the pallets basically. And then I did paint them with primer the other day because I'd like them to hold up for the winter. And my plan is to get those painted pretty soon. I have been doing some painting. Let's go visit the chickens. So this was here when we moved in. This is where they had the raised beds. And there are, oh, so many weeds out here. Periodically I come out here and pull some of them out. This back here, which I have been painting, was a garden shed. And then that tiny little space over there was the chicken coop and the chickens run. At one point, I think it was entirely covered with chicken wire, but there had been a collapse from the weight of the snow, because I guess one year they had 9 feet all at once. And so it broke the boards. So we have done some repair work up there to keep it in shape for this winter, hopefully. And then we have been hatching chickens and picking a few up here and there from like the Co-op, which is our farmer's store here. Not in our town, but in the next town over where we came from. So this is just the space for that. I have some baby roosters over here. I've started a little breeding program for some chickens that I want to see about breeding. I'm hoping to do hatching eggs. So I have that little pretty opal guy back there and a couple of his brothers. And then we have all the other chickens are hiding because it's hot. So they're all up underneath the chicken coop. So behind our property are some woods, which belong to some friends of ours actually. And there's a lot of swamp back there. I think there's a beaver pond. There's some area where the kids play, and there's the puppy over there in the shade. And that's the Great Grand Tour. Well, I hope you enjoyed the tour, and I hope you'll stay with us for some more adventures. If you like this and you think you want to follow along, we will be doing some fun things like revamping the chicken coop, and we'll talk about the pigs. Sometimes we'll probably do some indoor things, especially this winter, and we'll have some videos on canning. So if you like it and you want to join me, just feel free to subscribe to the video channel, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.